I remember when I got the call that everything was gone. To start my story, it was late Tuesday evening in January 2025, and I was in a lot of pain. See, I had just had a surgery, and so I was still sore and pacing myself between the occasional dose of pain medication and shots of Pedialyte. You know, randomly the power had gone out in my LA neighborhood, and so I called my parents to see if their power in Altadena was still on. And I got my mother's usual, "Oh, everything's fine," with a note that there was some unusually strong winds. Now, I hadn't been keeping up with the news. I, was just in so much pain, and that's probably because I was much more likely to be keeping up with the Kardashians than with local television at that point. So I had requested for my mother to call me in the morning, and click, we hung up. At some point, my power was restored, and so I hobbled my way back into bed for the night. Now, early Wednesday morning, I still hadn't heard from my folks, so I decided to reach out. "Hey, Mom, how's everything? Is everything okay?" Expecting her usual, "Oh, everything's fine." She goes, "Oh, everything's fine. We just had to evacuate. So we're at the convention center." "Wait, what? Why are you at the convention center, and why did you have to evacuate?" "Well, there was a fire." She said, "I stayed up and I watched it come down the hill, and I waited for it to hit this one particular palm tree in the distance, and then I figured we'd evacuate." I was in total shock. "But everything's fine, we're fine." And she let me know that she would call me as soon as they got back to the house to check out what the damage was. I urged her to call me immediately as soon as they got there, and she obliged. Click, and we hung up. I was overcome with emotion, confused as to what had happened. I paced myself back and forth around my house with many an ouch in between. And then I said a prayer. "Please, God, give my family and community courage." Courage, what an unusual word to have used. I can't recall ever asking for myself to have courage or for anyone else to be courageous. And in fact, in that moment, I couldn't even really recall what that word meant, yet alone why I would ask for anyone to be filled with it. Now, impatient as I am, I couldn't take it any longer, and I called my parents as quickly as possible for an update. And my mother picks up the phone and says, "Oh, everything's gone. The house is gone. Everything is gone. I'll send you a picture." Click. And that's when my exploration of the word courage began. My mind raced, searching for answers to make sense of the impossibility of my mother's statements. I needed something to cling to, something to help my brain make sense of what it couldn't yet quite comprehend. Now, when I'm lost, I turn to words. And so, of all of the books that I could have grabbed, I turned to Merriam-Webster. I grabbed a dictionary. My mind was stuck on that word courage that I had used in my prayer, as it seems so strange to me. It's not part of my daily lexicon. So my friend Merriam-Webster defines courage as being a mental or moral strength to persevere and withstand danger, fear, or difficulty. Its root is Latin, which means heart. Now, the modern use of the word suggests bravery and heroism, but I much like an earlier definition of the word, courage, the ability to speak one's mind from the heart. Courage in Old Latin referred to candor and honesty and truth-telling, which is a far cry from how we use the word today. Even the acclaimed author, Brené Brown, has said that for one to have courage is to tell the story of who you are with your whole heart. Now, why would I pray for that? Why would I ask my family and community to be able to tell their stories with their whole heart? Why would I ask for that? And then I studied the psychology behind courage, and things became a little clearer. See, psychologists and philosophers since the dawn of time have debated this concept of courage, mostly in contrast to fear and one's ability to overcome it. Now, the famed philosopher Aristotle has actually said that courage is developed by simply doing courageous things, and that it's much more of a skill to be cultivated and refined the more one does courageous things. Now, in my challenge and exploration of courage was this: if courage is about telling one's story with their whole heart, and it's practiced as a skill and refined the more one cultivates it, then who is courage really for? Is it for us, the courageous individuals, or for someone else? In the weeks and months since the fire and watching this community respond, I started to understand why I prayed for others to have courage. See, courage, oddly enough, is an act of service. Courage is not for you. It's passed through you. With courage, we get to write our own stories, tell it with our whole hearts, and model what we preach so that others might learn from it. Now, here's some truth. Altadena has seen a horrific, terrible tragedy. While many of us have lost homes and mementos of past achievements, baby pictures and paper mache projects from elementary school, there are some of us who've lost so much more. And even in the wake of a tremendous amount of loss, we've gained something too. We've gained courage, that which is only cultivated by testing and more opportunities to be courageous yet again. With each chance at courage, in each shot to be courageous, we get to tell the world about all that we've been through and all that we've seen. Gone are the days of, oh, everything's fine responses, because now there's so much more to say. Yes, the baby pictures are gone, but the memories are not. And we're a people of oral history anyway, emboldened in these times to share our truths with the world. Courage is simply not for us. It is cultivated by us for the empowerment of others. To be courageous is an act of service. Courage is for your children and grandchildren to know that they can do hard things just as you have done. Courage is for your neighbors who are weary of rebuilding, but as they get to watch you take it one day, one step at a time, they're learning that they can do it too. Courage is for those of us who have been taken advantage of by governments and systems and corporations, like those that like to deny insurance claims. And we get to stand up proudly advocating for ourselves, showing the world that we will not be pushed around and we will not take no for an answer. Courage, that which is cultivated after this terrible tragedy, is somewhat of a bittersweet gift that we get to give the rest of Los Angeles and the world, demonstrating our resilience and letting them know about this tiny but mighty town of Altadena. And this is how we rebuild Altadena, with courage, with a responsibility to tell our stories and how we've overcome and risen above the things we've been through, with audacity to fight back against the injustices that we've experienced, with courage, we get to model excellence in how we treat others by supporting the businesses that are still here and encouraging and rooting for others to come back. With courage, we get to rebuild and reclaim our community by practicing what we preach: love, honor, dignity, and compassion. With courage, we get to be courageous so that the generations that follow us get to see our example, as they will need it. They will need our example and our blueprint for how to press on. So for your courage, Altadena, we are grateful and we receive it. And may all those who traverse the streets of Altadena in the future know that courage lived here and courage will always remain. Thank you.